Hello, and welcome to episode, what is it? AQ of season 2, whatever it is. No one really cares which episode number, do they? Welcome to an episode of My Dog Will Eat My Face. If I sound a little nasally, I promise it's not that I've been up crying all night. There's nothing to do with that. It's just really bad allergies. That's actually true. It's just bad, crappy allergies. Anyway, that all being said, today I wanted to share some rather big news, at least to me. It's big news. A lot of people in the world might not really care, but I really don't care if they don't care. So, as you know, pretty much everyone who listens to this podcast, I am in home hospice. And when I'm in hospice, I actually have a company, a hospice care company, take care of me to keep me comfortable until I die. It's basically how it works. I get, in theory, I should get a whole team of people. That is a nurse, a CNA, a social worker, and then quite possibly a volunteer who's willing to help out. And some of these positions can obviously outpower another, or be more influential in my life. For example, I currently don't use a CNA. Their main function is to help you if you can't shower by yourself, or you change by yourself, you can't feed yourself, if you're really, wiped out. Basically me on Wednesday, after I drink a bunch of Kettle One, basically they help you out. I don't have one now. I haven't had one in a while, because I really don't need any help. I'm still amazingly independent. That's crazy. I've been in hospice care for about 6 years now. Slowly declining, facing my death, still going that direction. Worse by worse, as the days go on. And yet, I'm still here. I should maybe add this whole experience to my LinkedIn profile. Oh wait, I already did. Anyway, so you have a team of people, right, that are supposed to support you. So that's the backdrop that I'm going to kind of paint on, the way things are supposed to be, how they're supposed to work. Well, I came to the conclusion that a lot of changes that were made at my current hospice provider, and changes in their policy and their ability to assist, was completely unacceptable. And I was empowered enough to find a different hospice company that, from the vetting of them at least, will meet my needs and expectations. So it's kind of funny. I'm sitting here in a setting of me dying continuously, but also at the same time taking control of my hospice care and handling it like a very well-informed consumer. I'm kind of proud of that. Now that I think about it. So today I want to talk about what went on, what facilitated the change, and kind of a description of what my expectations were, what were not met, and what I basically demanded from a new hospice provider. So, with that all said, I would like to start with what exactly brought on this sudden change, and why now. So, in the beginning, there was void and darkness. No, wait. In the beginning of this story, let me briefly state what the actual primary cause of my change in hospice providers, that big change. It was actually triggered by none other than a doggy potty pad. Yeah. This whole thing started because of my dog's potty pad on my outside balcony. So, what happened was, some people who are my neighbors decided to complain about it to the office here, saying that it stunk. And I actually keep pretty good care of it. I keep it clean. I wash it fully, routinely in the shower. And soap it down and put it back. I mean, it really shocked me. And I've had 3 nurses, one social worker, and one friend go out on the balcony, and myself, of course, and none of us could smell anything. It was fine. So I think these neighbors just don't like me. For whatever reason, they've decided that I'm worse than Hitler. So they made a complaint, and the office acted on that and sent me a very aggressive email. You know how that goes, those really aggressive emails. Demanding that I remove my dog's potty pad from the balcony because it's not allowed there pursuant to the leasing agreement, and to only walk my dog in the designated areas in the building, which is in this courtyard, very far away from where I live, and a place where I would not have enough oxygen to really function. I'm at 14 to 16 liters at home. Actually, I take that back. 16 to 18 liters of oxygen at home. That's a lot. I got 2 huge compressors cranking out oxygen in one of my bathrooms. And it's like having a huge server rack. It's just crazy. But that means that when I take my dog out, if I try to take my dog out for a walk, I would slowly suffocate. I do have a portable tank that I can take with me, but the maximum flow of oxygen it can give me is 15 liters. So right off the bat, I'm at an oxygen deficit while the tank is completely maxed out, pushing air into me. And since the tank is on full blast, it only lasts for 23 minutes. So that's pretty grueling. It means that no matter what, if I go outside or use the portable anywhere, I'm going to face an oxygen deficit the whole time, regardless of anything else happening to cause a further deficit. And I've got about 23 minutes to get the hell back to home country airspace, or I can take the oxygen from my home oxygen concentrators. And the fact of the matter is, it's extremely difficult for me to walk my dog every time he has to go to make a potty. I couldn't imagine going out like in the snow or whatever at 1, 3 o'clock in the morning. You have to go when you have to go. It's not only something I can schedule with. And as it is now, yeah, he's got a little potty pad outside that's maintained. The door to it is left cracked open for him. And that means that when he has to go potty, he just goes out the back door all by himself and then comes back in when he's done. He has never, ever made an accident in the house with this process. He's never messed up. He's a very smart dog, so that's great. But it's clearly a system that, hey, it works. He can go potty when he needs to. And you know what? If I'm feeling up to it, if I do have a good enough strength, I think, and I want to take the risk, I can still take him out for a walk if I like. And I've done that. It exhausts me to, a crashing point. But I did try it and just went like 2 blocks and back again, and I loved it. I've always loved walking dogs, my dog. And I'm saying that plural because I loved it with my previous dog. I loved it, well, I do love it with my current dog. Like when I was working from home maybe someday, and I'm all stressed out and getting pissed off at someone yelling at my laptop maybe, you know how that goes at work. And I'm really stressed out. What I could do is, and I did do this, is I went ahead and took my pooch out for a walk. Short little 20-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute walk. Just kind of around the block to like an open space area where you can sniff everything and have fun doing it, and then come back. And whenever I did that, it was like a new day. All that stress was just gone. It just would melt it away. So I'd get back to my computer, and I'm calm and collected, not making stupid, irrational decisions, and functioning very normally in spite of the high stress environment. So that was kind of my life hack. It was working, where I could maximize my endurance at work through a periodic dog walk. So, needless to say, I love walking my dogs. Okay? I am utterly heartbroken that I can't take my dog now out for a walk all the time, or almost any time. It hurts me. And several weeks ago, I managed to do it. I just got enough strength to take him sort of around 2 blocks, like I said. And when I did it, again, it was magical. All my stresses of life just melted away. And I'd be out there in the fresh air, playing with my dog, because I don't just tug him along on a leash and say, come on, let's go. I interact with him, I'll even play with him. And it builds a stronger relationship between us. And honestly, it's a lot of fun for both of us. I'll be out there giggling as much as he's probably having a good time. It's mutual. But I wish I could do it more. I do. So, a couple things happened. I reviewed the leasing agreement probably 6 times, maybe. And nowhere in the agreement does it say you cannot have a potty pad on the balcony. This building manager, who, by the way, is brand new, actually got on really well with the other one, who's, I guess, gone. This building manager was flat out lying, trying to scare me that it's in the leasing agreement. And maybe a lot of people would go, oh no, I better not get in trouble. Okay, I'll get rid of it. And not read the leasing agreement to make sure. And if what she was referring to was in there, and it is what it is, okay. I'll have to figure something else out. I don't know what, but something. But yeah, again, needless to say, it's nowhere in the agreement. And that really ticked me off that she tried to scare me with that tactic. So, I felt that I was obviously in the right here, and that there was no reference to potty pads in the leasing agreement. The only thing that I can find close is a statement and an addendum that says You are responsible for keeping your balcony area clean from pet waste. And from my standpoint, that's fine. I do that. I pick up after my dog, and I periodically wash out the entire pad. In fact, my housekeeper is going to start doing it weekly for me. So it's going to be washed out weekly. It's better. It's going to be way better than anywhere else where all the other dogs are, where there's piles of poop everywhere, disease. It's a much better option. And on top of all that, my dog, his name is Carter, so I'm kind of weirded out saying my dog all the time, so I'm just going to call him by his name from now on. Carter. I did not name him, but anyway. But, yeah, anyway, at the same time, recently, actually, just in happenstance, maybe not even a month ago, I got Carter fully certified as my emotional support animal. Yay! So what that means is they legally cannot try to separate me from Carter. No one can legally do that. And that is a huge legal weight. That is a huge mallet to carry around to quash any protest over the dog, over Carter. So I wrote an email back to this property director and said, there's nothing in the lease agreement indicating that potty pads are forbidden. And I do keep it clean as required in one section of a particular addendum, so I think I'm fully compliant with the leasing agreement. And what's more is, you can't dare separate him from me, so I attached his certification information to my reply, just to show I was not BSing her. And since she suggested that I go downstairs and walk the dog every time he has to pee, I wanted a letter from my hospice provider stating that I can't. Wait, I totally lost my train of thought. Sorry. Anyway, yes. So yeah, the letter I wrote back. Yes, it's not in the agreement, and they can't separate me from Carter, and I can't take him outside to walk every time. And so my plan was to attach just a quick statement from my hospice provider that my medical condition is such that I cannot reasonably comply with that requirement. That's it. And the new ownership at my hospice company, you see, the company that serviced me recently has had many changes. My social worker quit in the face of these changes, and I will come to later find out my nurse as well. So the place I knew this was pretty much melting down because of this idiot, this new person who was running it and doing it very poorly, and now refused to help me in the situation. Just say simply, we don't do that kind of letter. So arrogant, so dismissive. So that's when I said to them in my head, "You're fired." Now, thankfully, the Potty Pad incident, there's the Gulf of Tonkin and the Bay of Pigs, but nothing bears the weight equal to the Potty Pad incident. It simmered out and stopped with my reply as it was. I didn't need anything from my provider. But if I had, I would have been in big trouble. And I also know that one of the companies that pay me on long-term disability from my last employer occasionally, looks under the hood and pokes around and sends a questionnaire to be completed by my physician there at the hospice, just to confirm that I'm still dying. And up to now, they've always done it. But hearing that they can't even put together a 2-line letter to help me as their patient scared me so much that when this next review comes down from my income provider, that they would say something similar. We don't complete forms like this. And if that happened, it would be catastrophic. I don't know what I'd do. I mean, if that went south, I could lose my income, be desperate. But I really felt that I couldn't even live in the fear of that. Because I'd be constantly stating in my head, they wouldn't even do a 2-line message to help me with my landlord. What are the odds they're going to do a whole questionnaire regarding my health? So that's when I reached out to another hospice, one where my favorite therapist and former social worker works at now. She kind of referred me to them, and she quit. She flatly quit where I was getting hospice service because, well, of the politics and the stupidity. So she landed a social worker job here at this other company. And with her referral, hey, I get to have my old social worker and therapist back. The best therapist I've ever had. Holy smokes, it's like Christmas Day. I completely reversed something that was awful. It was like magic. And because she did so much for me, and she does now so much for me, that when she couldn't do it like she used to because she was bogged down in this job, every day, 5 days a week at work, leaves her not as much time to visit me and help me. Just as an individual, she tried. She definitely came over and did help. But it would be straining her abilities. I think her weekend should be her weekend, not time to take care of my sorry self. But that's no longer an issue, because with all that, yesterday, I applied my John Hancock to the form and fired my previous hospice provider, where I've been at for 6 years, mind you. So this is a big change for me to a whole new one, with a huge open road, not knowing how it's going to go down. So, that's what I did, and I pretty much took ownership of my own health care. And proactively made changes to avoid a possible calamity down the road. And that really tells me a lot about, I guess, the human condition, to be honest. But let me expand further on that here in the following segment. The biggest thing that I reveal to myself out of these events is that no matter how powerless I could feel, how hopeless I could be, if I just didn't give up, I could control the destiny of my health care and take the responsible steps to make positive changes to my life, even here in hospice care. And I doubt many hospice patients ever do that. I know they do. I know they switch hospice. That's actually fairly common, I guess. But to me, it was a pretty proud moment in that I crushed the assault on the Potty Pad. I have since heard nothing more on the topic, and the Potty Pad remains there to this day. So, it was great to accomplish that. And use it as a catalyst to improve my healthcare coverage and hospice care. So, I'm not naive. I'm only a day into this new organization. And a lot of things, good and bad, might happen. I do need a lot of good things to happen to get this into a comfortable spot. For example, making sure my medications are refilled and that they don't change them on me when I sign up. Without, that is, consulting with me at least. So yeah, kind of a trip, and I think it really shows. I hope to everyone that even when you're down on your luck, you got the last penny in the banking account, you feel terrible, and I'm going to cover something related to that in the next podcast, so more on that later. But despite of all these fallbacks and challenges, you could still, if you try, you could still have some control and say in your healthcare to make sure you get what you need. And it shows how powerful a person can be to affect that change in themselves or probably others. Seen it firsthand from my point of view. Definitely left me pensive. I mean, there was an old idiom in the Mediterranean world 2,000 years ago that said, the owl of Minerva only takes flight when it's dusk. And that was just an old saying they had in the Roman Empire. They probably nicked it from the Greeks, but I don't know. For those of you who don't know, Minerva was the god of wisdom, knowledge, and of kind of power. That's why the God is represented by an owl. And we always say, remember, we used to always say the wise owl? Whatever happened to that? I remember that when I was a little kid. You'd hear stories about the wise owl. Now I don't hear anything about that. Whatever happened to that? Is that still out there? I don't know. How old am I? Anyway, when I was in school, I had all these books and shows that we would watch about the wise owls. And the wise owl would pass on some secret knowledge or wise advice to a human who would benefit from that. And I know these were stories I heard when I was a little kid. I didn't know until much later that has origins going all the way back to Roman religion. Because Minerva, the goddess of wisdom, is represented by an owl. So that's why that saying says anything about an owl. Basically, to translate it, is the best wisdom and knowledge will often come to you in the darkest of times, when you feel cornered or hopeless. And in this case, that's very true. So I switched providers. A lot more to do for that. And greatly improved my life by getting my old social worker back. She's already brought me groceries yesterday. She's already doing extra help. It's truly awesome. And I could do that in the horrific state that I am. It just really shows how the human condition can really win and overpower. So I came out of that, at least right now, feeling very good about it. I'm sure I'll have a dozen complaints about the new place in a week. Of course, that's going to happen. But right now, on day one, I'm at zero. Zero complaints on day one. And it's amazing to me And that's why I wanted to share that story. Because a lot of us are stuck in conditions we don't like. A lot of us can feel like we're being targeted, singled out, maybe by a huge corporation, and it's just little you. I think it's a reminder, all of us. Probably until our last breath, we have some control of our lives. We certainly have control of the actions we take. And that's why it's so important to take what you hope to be good actions. Now, I think with all that said, I am going to wrap up this week's podcast. And I know I was away for quite some time, actually a couple weeks there, I guess. Sorry about that. Thankfully, I didn't die yet. No, still fighting the good fight. Definitely struggling with some issues. So, yeah, things were just a little rough the last couple. Sorry, I shouldn't speak with a hushed voice on this thing. Things have been a little rough in the last couple. There we go. But I did not die yet. I'm still here. Don't worry. I'll be fine. Don't mind me. But, I really wanted to share that story of how one little puppy potty pad can hurl massive changes into my life in less than 2 weeks. Like I said, you might have the Gulf of Tonkin, you might have the Bay of Pigs, of course you got the Cuban Missile Crisis, the bombing of the Marine barracks in Beirut. All of those are pale in comparison to the puppy potty pad incident of 2023. I love it. And I'll got triggered by a potty pad. So, thank you very much for listening to my podcast. Again, I do apologize for being out. Oh, it was just a rough time. You'll have that, but I seriously thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening. It's nice to know that these thoughts that I share are at least being heard by someone. And more than that, it's very therapeutic and good for me to talk about these things. To talk about it can often lead to big changes in your life or how you feel about certain things. And so, today, my babbling has left me feeling pretty good, at least. So, there you go. If I didn't have a listener, I'd just be another crazy guy on the bus. That no one wants to sit next to. And you can't tell if he's asleep or not. Have you ever been on an inner city bus in the middle of the night? You see some crazy things. Or not just a bus, metro. Man. Anyway, that's far off topic. Thank you for listening. I hope next week, and I alluded to this earlier, to provide an update on what's it like to be dying. I published that originally a few years back, but like so many other things, it's different now and pretty much in a state of flux. And if I go away leaving just that original description, I'd be I don't know what the word is, bummed out. I'm so eloquent, aren't I? I would be so bummed out that I didn't readdress that topic with all the changes that occurred to me physically. So I hope to publish that hopefully next week. It might be a 2-part thing, because there's a lot of pack in there probably. But definitely follow the podcast and turn on notifications so you're notified of future podcasts. This upcoming one, because that's going to dive into a lot of serious issues. So, I think that's it. As always, if you really want to support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/mydogwilleatmyface. But again, you've already given me so much by being the ears wherever you are that can hear my voice. And can hear that I am still alive. So with that, I hope to speak to you later. And auf Wiedersehen.